He's always been one of my favorite actors in the world.
Absolutely.
And he is the most gorgeous human being, as well as being this, titan in cinema.
Everybody stay calm, because this man, ladies and gentlemen, is Tommy Shelby.
Who the fuck is Tommy Shelby?
Perhaps someone should explain to him who I am.
Cillian, I'm going to start with you because I know you said that this was mainly for the fans and you wanted to make sure that you gave them the proper ending. What about the script told you, okay, we got it?
I think that, yes, it was my instinct was that we had to kind of repay the fans for their investment in the show and for making the show the kind of phenomenon that it is. And I think that it had to justify its existence as a piece of cinema. And that, there was a lot of pieces that needed to be tied up correctly. Do you know what I mean? And also, I felt, without any spoilers really, that it needed to be a fitting conclusion to this chapter of the story. So, the thing about television is you always have a cliffhanger. That's the nature of series, whereas this, the ending was the most important thing, and it's the hardest thing to get right in screenwriting, and Steve nailed it.
Yeah. And then for you, I've heard this from the other folks, you personally called everybody to ask them to be a part of this?
He's actually trying to put casting directors out of business. It's actually a mission that he's on.
Well, what was it like getting that call? And
hey, you texted me.
I texted him. I opened the door.
Okay.
No, I texted him because he got an Oscar.
because he got an Oscar.
I was like, keep your head down and run for the hills type thing. And then out of that text, he's texted me back and going, do you want to do a movie?
Oh,
like, wow. Right. So it came that way. But you did the same with Barry.
Yeah.
And you got Rebecca on board too, right? So it's a really happy collective that was, because it was a tough gig.
Yeah.
I mean, for you especially, because it is, the conclusion in a sense. So you want to sort of have a good team, and they're lovely people.
They're great people, and I think I keep banging on about this, but if you write great parts, you get great actors.
Yeah.
And I also think it's like you can have great actors, but you need people who are kind of muck in and have a bit of crack and have a bit of a laugh and all of these.
Get it done too.
Get it done, but just and then elevate the parts.
Rebecca and Barry both spoke about how that's what it was with y'all. It felt like dancers that didn't need to practice the steps. You guys just came up there and really delivered it, which is great. But I know it wasn't all fun and games because, again, I know you had to do a lot physically and emotionally with this character. What is the hardest part of getting into Tommy Shelby, and how do you do it?
I think there's two types of characters you can play. There's the ones that are extremely transformative, that are just such a long distance from you as a human being, and then the ones that take a slight adjustment. Now, one is not more easy or more difficult than the other. But with Tommy, he was the latter, so I had to really spend an awful lot of time initially. But then it never got easier. Every time we do a new series, I'd have to do it. But then when we were up and running, it began to get easier. If you know what I mean? He began to kind of take over with each season. So it was the obvious things, kind of the walk, the accent, looking back on the old series, trying to figure it out, and conditioning and all of that stuff, just trying to get back into it.
I really dig that. Okay, what is the thing you're excited you'll never have to do again? The cigarettes, the fake drinking, or the haircut?
The haircut.
That's fair.
Really?
That's fair. He suffered for his art.
Apparently, yeah.
One of my favorite moments in fashion was watching you in the villain show for Prada, where y'all walked as the iconic villain.
Sorry, I'm just going to jump right in there. Yeah, Prada model?
Yes.
So they called me up, and I was on the phone. They said that, and I just said out loud, my wife was there, I said, "What's Prada?"
Oh, God.
And she went, "Do it." And so I went, apparently, yes. And that was it. And then we went on that road.
I love it. It's so great. It was such a great show, but I love that you've added another iconic villain to your already incredible pantheon.
I think he's the good guy.
And of course you would. But what was it like being on paper maybe slightly antagonistic, more than a slightly antagonistic to the gentleman across from you? And what was that?
We flipped from the script. We made him working class. We made him more of a teacher and stuff, and that kind of guy. So more accessible in a sense, less offensive to the Peakies. If he had been upper class, my feeling was that he would have been offensive, and they would have twisted his neck immediately.
Fair.
So we went down that road, and Steve was totally up for it, and Tom, the director, and so on. So we did all of that, but then we'd already worked together. I hadn't worked with Bazza, but obviously I knew him. And then Rebecca. So basically he put together this team, and it did feel like a safety zone when you walk in.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
You're
really...
just you're in good hands. If you're doing a scene with somebody, you're just trying to, even if you haven't really met them properly, you're just trying to figure out. But they'll be good at what they do.
Yeah. And I will say this too, it was so great to sort of watch y'all in scenes together. It was literally like watching like Venus and Serena. Like, they're just going back and forth. It was so great. But for you, what's the moment in the series that you're most looking forward to fans seeing in the film? Like, which one are you like, okay, when we were making this, I was thinking about the fans.
You have to test these films before you put them out. That's part of the process, and we did a lot of that. And every single time, the scene that tested the best was, which I wasn't always so sure about, was Tommy going back into the garrison.
Yeah.
Because it's Steve is just
that's good.
Classic Western. It's stranger walks into a bar. What's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so classic, but it works.
And he did good. That guy.
That actor, yeah. Excellent.
Again, you need that.
You need a great actor to nail it.
He was really good. Sorry,
but it's a bit like it's like Unforgiven. It's the how long is it going to take Clint to come back? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing. So.
Oh yeah, that's a great one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Last thing, and I think I know the answer to it, but what is the one that you get shouted the most from it? I mean, they're going to do it for the rest of your life, but hopefully now you'd be like, I gave you this gift. No more harassing me on the street with.
No fucking fighting, but you can beat that.
I love that one. Yeah. And then the very last question I was going to ask you is, I was very pleased that I was there with you during the whole Oppenheimer situation. Like being able to cover that was one of the joys of my career because that film was so incredible. But Mr. Matt Damon, your co-star in that one, is about to kind of go into the crucible that you went through. He already went through as far as filming it, but now the crucible of like taking one of these around, and it's not like he hasn't done one, but I feel like with the Odyssey, it's gonna be, because who didn't they bring? So what's it like? Did you text him and be like, "All right, you got your wish. Like, good luck, buddy"?
We texted a little bit, but he was quite busy, and I know that feeling. No, I am so excited for that movie. I cannot wait. I mean, the trailer just gave me goosebumps, And like Matt Damon
I love him.
He's always been one of my favorite actors in the world. Absolutely. And he is the most gorgeous human being, as well as being this, titan in cinema. So him and Christopher Nolan,
that's not bad.
It's like a dream.
That'll do.
You abandoned your kingdom, and you abandoned your son.
The world don't give a fuck about me, and I don't give a fuck about the world.
And I want to start with you because I was thinking of the trailer, because when your character showed up and people saw that, they're like, who is this woman yelling at Tommy Shelby? Like, she's like taking it to him. And I thought that was like such a great like character introduction. What was that like for you, and how familiar were you with the series before you joined?
I mean, first of all, not yelling, pleasantly, softly using her manipulation in her voice.
Yeah.
No, it was fun. I mean, I've watched 1.5 seasons, 2 seasons, but it's just great. When you watch a show and it is written well, it has great actors in it, and it just kept on clearly getting better and better. And I think I really wanted to work with Cillian.
Yeah.
So when he himself reached out, which he did basically to all of us, it feels amazing to be a part of something that is so important for him. I didn't know that they were supposed to do a season 7.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, and then they didn't. They decided to do the film.
Oh.
It just felt big to be asked to be on that journey with him.
What was he like as a scene partner, since you got the chance to work with him after wanting to for so
Great.
long?
We were just doing an interview, and then we got a similar question. I think we work quite similarly. We do a lot of prep work, so that when you rock up, you feel very safe. You know what you're doing, which means you can throw all of that out of the window and then just stand in the moment. We don't need to have 400 coffees before because it's Carlo and Tommy meeting each other.
Yeah.
And then the friction happens.
Yeah.
And the same with Barry.
Yeah.
We didn't hang much.
No, we didn't. And again, just rocked up and sort of feel the energy and
and you step one step in and you see, does he go back? Does he go forward? And then you dance together.
Because I think it's one reason why I don't do stage. And nothing against it, and I will try it one day, but it's sort of like the rehearsal for me is like, I just don't want to have preemption to anything. I want to see where it goes.
Live in the moment of it. Well, you could tell you were doing that with your character, but I want to bring it back to you joining it, because I've seen interviews where you talked about how much you loved the show. And so I think it's like reverse thing. How many times did you ask before you got the call from Cillian to be a part of it?
There's only so many people you can text Happy Father's Day to, but literally, I know Shaheen quite well, and always ask Shaheen, was there anything there? And then again, reached out to Cillian, and Cillian asked me, and it was a no-brainer, I think.
What was that phone call like? Well, I'm going to ask, was the scream bigger for that or the Beatles?
That's
a hard question. I know that's so mean. I'm not going to do that to you.
I mean, they all sort of, when you sign on to something, it's all equally quite.
Yeah, and it becomes centralized for that moment.
Yeah.
There's nothing else but that.
Yeah.
For folks that haven't got to see the film, because it's only currently in theaters and it'll eventually be on Netflix, I'd love if you could preview a little bit about your character, because she has a relation, obviously, to Barry's character's aunt, but more importantly, how she relates in the world of like Tommy's history and maybe some aspects of himself that he doesn't deal with as much.
Yeah, without giving anything away.
I know,
I think
so hard.
What was interesting, we talked about when I was offered the role, we talked about the accent, because obviously they're all speaking Brummy, and I wouldn't do that accent because that would just be ridiculous. So the fact that she is quite otherworldly, as a Romani and as Gypsy and as traveller, they would have travelled from all over the place. So it was quite fun taking this character who was unknown with a history that we unravel through the story. And it's also the not knowing who she is until we find out who she is that is so exciting. But making a different accent, being Romanian, and sort of her tribe that we never really meet, and her cousins and her people, because that's what it was like. There were so many families, and what bound us together was the Ogram alphabet, which I had tattooed all over my body, which was words like clan, family, my heritage that we would have had together.
That's really great. I love the tattoo story of this one. It's just
so
cool.
I'd love to see the series,
The
man.
the Keoughan.
For your character with Duke, I think he's like I think Tommy always has these young men in his life that are always confronting him with like a version of himself at one time. But I'd be curious if you could talk a little bit about, I would say more so than anyone, he just bursts onto the scene and becomes this like firecracker in the world of Peaky Blinders.
Again, it's set up that way. And it's for me, it's like not to play that and just play truth and try play what the core of it is.
What do you think his core is then?
The core of that for me when I stepped on was the relationship, and trying not to show that I miss my dad and his absence has affected me. I didn't really want to come on showing that he's a menace and he's dangerous, and I think always playing against that is nice. Everything else around you says it for you. How people look at you and treat you in the movie say it for you.
There's also some great folks that come into this that were a part of the original series, as like the OGs, as I like to say. And there's so many of those, like, where, I don't know, there's like great history of like the sets. Did you get any of those fun stories from some of the other cast members? Because they've also had some great guest stars as well.
Yeah.
I remember when we were filming Charlie's Yard, and Ned was there, and Packy Lee, he is so funny. And it was Cillian, myself, and no, Eva wasn't there. There were lots of people. And we just sat off screen like in a little pub. That's what was our green room.
Yeah.
And they have a shorthand, and there is stories and there's history, and they refer to things and things that happen in their family. And that felt wonderful being a part of.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when towards the end, I don't want to give it away, or if I can give it away, but that moment happens, and I remember looking around and seeing all of them, and it was beautiful, like absolutely beautiful.
I don't care who the fuck you are.
I'm going to start with you, Stephen, because I know Cillian said that when y'all switched from maybe doing 7th season to wanting to do the movie, the script had to be even more bulletproof because you were going to dial it in. So what were the things that you wanted to put in this that would, sort of, I guess, deliver on that promise?
Yeah, I mean, I'd always wanted the thing to end in the Second World War because it begins at the end of the First World War. And so bombs are dropping, the Blitz is happening in Birmingham. It's my hometown. I wanted to tell that story. But I really wanted to put Tommy Shelby in a place he'd never been before. And the place he's in is a position of guilt. and he's exiled himself because he's done something for which he cannot forgive himself. And what I wanted to do was try and combine the war and the fight against fascism with a very personal quest for Tommy Shelby, so that in the end there's a single action that he has to take to carry out to save his son and save the country. So then it's just navigating how to get there, get to that place. But when we've wanted to get Tom for Peaky series since series 1, and he's always been busy. We got Tom, we got Cillian, we got incredible cast. So.
Oh, I love that. I mean, mostly with series like this, if it was like a television series, you'd be like, oh, this is a big expansion. But for this show that basically shoots like 10 movies a season, it might have been an easier task. I don't know. What challenges did this particular film present when you were stepping into the director role?
I don't know. I think every film or every TV series has its own unique challenges, and they all revolve around the kind of the particular nature of the story. Obviously, coming at the end of 6 incredible series of television, there was a pressure, and we had to not only live up to it, but hopefully really push it on as well. So there was a couple of main challenges. I think the first one was how do you go from a television where you have a number of different storylines going to something that's more singular, that's more focused on this chapter in the life of Tommy Shelby. Steve's always described it as, it's really important to have a beginning and a middle and an end. And I think what we deliver is something that's kind of more of a short, sharp hit than a series that can obviously take its time for the storylines to move around. And then we did want to elevate it. We did have more money and time to make the move, and we wanted to take it to places to do all the things that maybe we couldn't have done in the TV series, like whether that's go to different locations, whether that's blow things up for real, whether that's really get under the skin of Birmingham in the Blitz. There are and also just like there are things that perhaps we wanted to do in the TV series at different times. It's not just about blowing things up, but it's also about taking the time to push things. For example, there's a fight in a pig pen in the mud, and that's a complicated, hard thing to do. It's difficult for continuity. It's difficult for the actors. It took us 2 days to shoot that, and it's that takes time, and a TV schedule doesn't afford that. So.
I'm glad y'all got the extra go. You mentioned the World War II of it all, too, because I think that the series starts in, like, the ashes of World War I. And so to be kind of on this other side of the ramp-up is kind of interesting. Talk a little bit about the historical touches that you're excited to play in now that you've moved up in the timeline. Yeah,
I mean, the bombing at the beginning of the film, which is the bombing of a munitions factory in Birmingham, a real one called BSA. That was a story I was familiar with because my mom worked in that factory in the Second World War and wasn't there that night because one of the kids was ill. But it's a very personal story for me because of that, but also because the people who were killed could have gone to the shelter but volunteered to stay and to carry on working. So I thought that was a great way to start it. But then there was something in the back of my mind, something I'd read a while ago about the currency forgeries. The fact that it's called Operation Bernhard, where the Nazis forged £350 million worth of currency in Sachsenhausen concentration camp. And the plan was to flood Britain with this fake money to basically swamp the economy. And, it was, the money was made. Quite a lot of that money did make its way into the British economy. It could have worked, but it didn't. The Bank of England withdrew the £10 note during the war because they were worried about how many fake notes there were, and they changed the design of the currency after the war. But it was kept secret for something like 50 years.
Oh, wow.
I know. So it's a true story about the money.
I didn't know that, but that's dope. I mean, I should have expected that y'all.
You can get the money. You can merchants and it's listing on the internet. You can still. It's crazy that
actually the price of those will go up now.
Yeah, thank you for that. I know the collectors are excited.
You should have more load. Yes, just before.
They'd be like, "I'm about to make this famous." I want to bring it to you because I don't know. This is like you're bathing in riches when you have people like Tim Roth and Cillian Murphy and Rebecca Ferguson and Barry Keoghan, and not to mention all of the folks from the original series and so many other ones. But what was the moment when you were sitting either at the monitor or behind the camera where you were like, Jesus, this is, I did not expect this. I couldn't believe this. This is
I mean, there are many, to be honest. And they tend to be the more intimate scenes, the performance-based scenes, obviously. But Barry and Cillian looking at each other over a bar as father and son is one of my favourite scenes. There's just so, even though they're not doing anything or there's so little, but so much going on, and that is the power of those two actors is fascinating. But also Rebecca, again, like all of them don't need to do very much, but they're so powerful, they're so magnetic. Rebecca and Cillian at the dinner table, again, a beautiful scene, but also just like that sort of delicious geography teacher evilness that Tim Roth brings as well is really magnificent. Again, they just sort of subvert expectations in a way. That's what some of those, those wonderful top actors do, is they just, you think you know what you're going to get, but then they just do something that just throws it slightly.
Yeah, Tim talked about that, about how like making him the school teacher made him more sinister, and he was absolutely right, but also more charismatic. You know what I mean? Like not being, I think he says like he was originally very posh or upper class. Yeah. Another thing the series is known for, and a thing that like everybody loves, is the needle drops that y'all put in the show. I mean, you've made a lot of these like, I would not say lesser known artists, but songs that I just don't think people would expect in a period piece of this time period. You have a few in this one, obviously, as well. How do you go about selecting those? How early are those in the script?
Occasionally, not that often, I'll specify a track like Red Right Hand is specified. Normally, my unhelpful suggestion is like music rules or music swells or music drives or whatever. And then people,
it's not that unhelpful.
People cooler than me and trendier than me who know that scene, and Cillian's got an incredible address book, will approach people. But the amazing thing about Peaky over the years has been that people have either said yes, always, or people have approached us and said, like David Bowie approached us and said, do you want to use any of this? And it's like, and it's really fantastic because it is really is part of the energy of the show.
I didn't know that stat. I'm well versed on every black man that has every white man that has black wife. So I knew all about that. And I'm very well versed on every single one, and he was one of them. Shout out to Iman. For you, sir, do you have a favorite of the needle drops or sort of the musical moments in this time out?
Yeah, I think Puppet happens at a very pivotal moment in the film, and it was a very interesting way that came about in the sense that they. Gree and Chatton from the Fontaines, DC, had been working with Ant to create some music for the show, and they'd put a number of tracks down. And that actually track was originally conceived maybe to be at the end of the movie, and it didn't quite work there. And I was in the middle of I'm not going to say an argument, but like a creative disagreement with Ant about whether it worked there or not. And then we just tried it somewhere else. And this is in the very early stages of the song, so there was a bit of singing but no lyrics. And we tried it on this one section that is without giving any spoilers away, is a very key moment in the film, and it just sort of stuck, and then the lyrics evolved around that, and I think it's a phenomenal piece of music and very powerful, and it's one of my But then Lankham at the end is very good as well.
I mean, they're all good. Listen,
and then some of the Massive Attacks covers, they're good. That Teardrop,
Teardrop, which has been used already so great. I have to get out of here, but I have to ask. Sorry, because I do. I know Cillian has said this is the end of him, but this is a lovely world. Oh, wouldn't you like to go back and do more stuff?
Yeah, I am.
I'm
taking it forward.
Okay, you are. So what can you tell us, if anything?
I can't really talk about it. I can just say that it's happening, and it's going to be fantastic. And as long as there's an appetite for this, which the box office is showing us that there is a huge appetite for this. As long as there's an appetite, we'll keep feeding it.